Okay. All right. Well, welcome to a special event this week that we are doing with the Blue Network. We are here with all different groups in the network, the Blue Brothers Sportscast with Craig and myself. And we are also joined via the phone with RaSean Reeves of the Blueprint Show. How's it going, RaSean?
What's going on, fellas? Who could possibly have it better than us? No.
And then, Craig, how are things going with you?
Things are great, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's great to be on with RaSean. It's been a long time since I've seen our guy.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. I miss you guys, man. I ain't seen y'all since
always.
Yeah, got to start off 2018 right and got to get everybody back together. So here we are, and it's already almost a month in, and it's right before National Signing Day. So this is what this whole special kind of event is for us in the near future is National Signing Day. So we're going to sit here. We're going to talk about some of the recruits because, of course, this is the first year with the early signing period. So we have some that are early enrolled. We have some that are already signed, and then we have a couple hard commits, and then there are a few other things in the mix as well. But this is going to be kind of an open conversation. We're going to talk about the different recruits and different things going on and release this for you guys so that this will be right in prime time for National Signing Day. As it stands right now, Michigan is looking at 21 total commits for the 2018 class. 3 of them, as I said, we have that early enrollee group, and then 13 of them have already signed their letter of intent, and then 5 are hard commits for Michigan, which does mean that there is the possibility, since nothing is signed, that anything could change between now and National Signing Day, but those 5 players are hard commits to Michigan. I'll kind of just start a little bit with RaSean because RaSean is kind of our guru. He is the guy behind the scenes. He is always busy, hard at work, which we always appreciate, which all of Michigan Nation should appreciate because this man puts in the hard work. As Kurt Taylor would always say, hard work is undefeated. But RaSean, is there any place that you want to start off with this conversation with the 2018 class?
Well, I think we got to start with OTIS Reeves. I mean, he's the biggest question mark going into National Signing Day. You know, he took his visits to some other schools, and he's been committed to Michigan so long. But I'm still kind of leery. I always say it's not over till you get that fax. And, we didn't get that fax early with him being such a long commit. So, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm kind of torn. Do he really want to leave home? And, it's tough, man. I really hope he go blue, but fellas, I don't know. That's one I really don't know about.
Yeah. Now, with that unknown factor, and I don't know what you may have heard from people in your communications, but it was not an ideal finish for the 2017 season. And so people are talking about how that may be impacting players that are going to be committing for the 2018 class. Not specifically with OTIS Reeves, but with recruits in general for this class. Have you heard anything talked about kind of the way that the season panned out for Michigan and any impact that has on their decision making?
Not at all. You just got a lot of jive turkey schools. They'll use those things to, negatively recruit against Michigan. But the smart or the people that's in the inner circle with these recruits, if they're smart, they'll tell them, well, that's why you want to go to Michigan. You have a better chance of playing early and helping them, rise back to the top, I got to say, I love the moves that Coach Harbaugh has made this offseason. The coaches that he added are outstanding recruiters. I'm hearing nothing but great things from recruits, with these guys on the trail, and they lit a fire back under Partridge, as if he needed one, He said these guys, man, they fire him up because they on a recruiting trail, and they're great coaches. So, Michigan is getting at it, I'll say, just schools use that negatively, but it doesn't hurt, man. That's overrated, Michigan sells itself. You got Jim Harbaugh, and my dad always told me, be thankful for the free press. Even if people talking negatively about you, they still talking about you, and they putting you out there on their platform. So, that's what they do with Jim Harbaugh. They always talking about him. some good, some bad. You know, it doesn't matter, but he's in the conversation. And recruits take notice, you know, and as you guys know, I've been working hard on this class of 2019. And the goal is to have the number one class. And I believe we will have the number one class when it's all said and done.
Nice. Yeah, always very exciting. And I know one guy that always gets excited about it because he's one person that's helped educate me more on the recruiting side of things. But Craig, this is kind of your favorite time of year, and it's coming to a close. What has you excited for the 2018 recruiting class for Michigan?
Well, I mean, I like what RaSean was saying. I mean, getting big OTIS Reeves would be a great grab for Michigan at that offensive line. But like you said, I think, you know, I could throw a quick question back at RaSean is, you know, maybe is it because REESE opted out of signing early that, you know, that he's entertaining other schools that kind of has Michigan fan base a little bit leery because you got Georgia breathing down his neck and Georgia coming off right in the national championship game and really building that program. I mean, they have already got what, 6 5-stars going there, and if they added OTIS Reeves to that, that's just, I don't think I've ever seen a class like that in my life. Even Alabama's with at Georgia, but and like RaSean said, you know, some of these classes that get recruits like this that go from, you know, maybe a top 15 recruiting to almost a number one to something unheard of, almost history making. It gives me pause to know if there's some underhandedness going on. I don't know. It's a little strange, you know, to think about that. But I think, you know, I think RaSean's right on the money. And, you know, if he wants an indulge that, you know, maybe getting Reeves opting out of signing early might be a reason why he's still looking around.
Yeah, you know, and I heard that it's really about, you know, he loves his mom and, you know, he didn't want to leave her is what guys were telling me. Sources down there were saying, you know, I got a lot of sources with Georgia. The Bailey brothers helped Georgia out so much.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
We're talking about Boss Bailey, Sean Bailey, Champ Bailey. They're really working with Kirby Smart. You know, they're doing their endurance camps. I don't know if I told you guys about the conversation we had about, you know, doing some camps. We had a conversation. They reached out to me and we talked about doing some things. But they target the 8th graders to put Georgia, you know, in their brains early. And they was like, you know, we partnered up, you know, you Michigan, man, Ray, you represent Michigan, so Michigan can come. We can do some Georgia things and stuff like that. But I got to give it to them. They do an outstanding job, you know, with their helping Kirby down there. I mean, Georgia had a great class, and I do know they turned up the heat on him. And, you know, I got to say that they run that round because we didn't get the signature early.
Right. Yeah, we should. Right. And then obviously you bringing up Champ Bailey, one of the best secondaries in NFL. And I mean, he was one of my favorite players. But yeah, you're right. They got it really going on over there. Do you think RaSean has something to do with, you know, even the fact as, you know, Michigan had a down year, didn't look like, you know, wasn't exactly what we thought it would be at times. You know, they did some good things and then some bad things. And also does, you know, even the weather have something to do with it that, you know, a lot of players, you know, don't really like the cold. You know, Michigan's a tough place to play, you know, it's outside. It's one of the biggest stadiums in the country, but it is, you know, you see that snow out and where it's just a blizzard storm. Do you see players kind of taking a second guess on Michigan or something like that?
No, not at all. Because I tell them, hey, what's your end game? Your end game is you want to get to the pros and you want to have a successful life and family life after football. And Michigan's that place. You can come learn pro NFL schemes under Coach Jim Harbaugh. He's been very successful on the pro level, and you can get an outstanding education with Michigan. But like I tell them, if you go pro, you don't know which team is going to draft you. So the code, I mean, buy a mink coat, buy a winter coat. I mean, hey, you got to adjust. You never know where you're going to end up getting drafted if that's your end game and play. So, you know, I use that to help Michigan. I use weather to help Michigan. And besides, you know, we go to the games. We're there. It's always great weather when we go as well. Think about how hot it was. I know we went down to the Indiana game. It was burning up. So we use that, to our advantage. But
Right.
you also was talking about the recruiting piece with Georgia. I don't think it was about the season, more so about your program. Because you got to think about, look at Sparty. Sparty had a down year and they bounced back. I
Yep.
mean, it's all about your recruiting, and recruiting is all about relationships. You can't get in these kids late. But I really think the Georgia and Michigan versus Michigan with the Otis Reese piece is more about Aubrey Solomon. Are you going to let Michigan come down
Right.
in Georgia and take two of the best in
Yeah.
back-to-back years?
Good
So
point.
that's why they fighting so hard with Otis.
Putting those two, I didn't even think about that. Is putting Aubrey Solomon there, and at that part in that position, and the fight there. But yeah, that might be that's a good point. I didn't even think about. I was thinking about Caleb, you talking about some of the guys that we need to get, and that is what RaSean had a good episode on his show talking about Big Nick out of Tampa, Florida, 5-star recruit prospect that we need to get. He's in class of 2008, number 1 in the country as far as the offensive tackle position. If there's a needed position that needs to be filled, and it's with that guy. I mean, the guy's a beast. He's a monster. He can do it all, and I think he's a must get for Michigan. I think they're going to really, really push hard to get him, and I think he is. Obviously, our offensive line needed some work in the pass protection area, and I think if we can get that guy, I think Michigan would be in a good position.
Yeah, I like Nick a lot. It's going to come down to, do we want to leave? That's a fight that's going to go to the wire. And I like him, and I like Jared Patterson as well for our offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
And then if we can get Calvin to transfer, he was set on staying down in Texas before his Michigan visit, by the way. His girlfriend's there, his family's there, and it was between Michigan and Texas. But Michigan, like I said, man, they pulled out all the stops when he came up here and showed him a great time. He saw this outstanding school, university, outstanding coaches, how they'll use him and develop him and get him ready for the next level. So he left with a lot on his mind. But same thing with Nick. I know we spent some time recently down there. I believe a couple of them went to church with us, him and his mom, and, getting to know him even better and letting him see the staff. So Nick, I believe it's going to come down to signing day, what he's feeling when he wake up and have that breakfast. Will it be Michigan? Will it be Florida? And same thing with Jared. And, at the end of the day, I always like Michigan chances with all the recruits, come on, we got Jim Harbaugh, man. You can play for Jim Harbaugh. You got this outstanding university. I mean, Michigan's a special place for special people to do special things, as I always say on the blueprint. So it sells itself. And at the end of the day, the people that's influencing, or like the circle of influence of these student athletes, they have to weigh it. You have to make a great conscious effort, the pros and cons, and see what the best decision is for your student athlete. And when you weigh the pros and cons, I mean, Michigan is at the top echelon of any school in the country.
Yeah, and the offensive line is in a unique position this year. There are a couple other position groups that are like this as well, but none more bigger than the offensive line, where if they come in, they know that they have the opportunity to be able to start playing right away, because it's all hands on deck right now. Anybody who puts in the work and performs the best, without a doubt, in that group is going to see the playing field to start. So, yeah, those people on players on the offensive line can see that opportunity on top of everything else that Michigan has to offer. So
yeah, I like that, because it's a great opportunity to come be great and be a part of something bigger than yourself, but we can't forget, Michigan loaded up last year. Chuck Filiaga and different guys, they're going to be able to play this year and contribute. And I'm really liking our offensive line. I really believe Shea Patterson's going to play, and Shea's the type of quarterback that makes you defend everything. Get that ball out there quick, and so that's going to help the offensive line. We got 2 solid running backs coming back. We also got Kareem Walker and some other guys, Christian Turner. I mean, all these freshmen. that's coming in. That's outstanding backs, guys that were there. So I believe the pieces are there, and as I told people, anything less than the college football playoffs, then I will be disappointed because we stacked.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point. He's talking about this offensive line and Jim Harbaugh really shuffling around players on that offensive line. It was clearly, you could tell he was doing that, trying to find something that's stuck. I felt like he was throwing spaghetti against the wall, hoping something would stick for that moment, and then he'd keep shuffling. And could you blame the coach? No. I mean, he's looking for something. And I agree with you. You're getting some of this offensive line. You get Reeves, who played, I believe he started, 10 games, and Bredesen, and he started around 13 games. And you're going to get this offensive line. It's going to have much more game experience. They're going to be more veterans now, which is really, really good coming in. So that's a plus for Michigan, and I think they'll be able to work around some of Michigan's game planning. I think the offensive line obviously is tough because the very part is when you're new and you're a rookie and you're trying to learn the offensive playbook, it's really tough at times. I get that. But you have Tariq Black and Peoples-Jones and all those guys coming back and doing really, really well and having game experience, I think is going to really make Michigan much better. And like you said, having the running back that we have, Evans and Higdon and all those guys, and Kareem Walker is always a good plus, and our tight ends being utilized is always going to be great. But I really think you talked about Patterson, was great, 6'5", really big guy, 285-pound recruit out of California. He's a must get too. I think Michigan's going to really press hard to get that guy because he is going to be one of the best guys to block on that offensive line when it comes to passing. I think that's where his niche is. I think that's where he's best at, and he's probably one of those guys that can come in and play right away. So,
yeah. Speaking of playing right away, the other commits that we have between the early enrollees, the signed players, and then even the hard commits, who are you guys looking at for somebody to come in and make an impact right away out of the group that we have coming in? I'll start with you, Craig, on this one. Do you have someone that you're looking for to come in and make a direct impact on the team and maybe play early their first year or at least their following year?
I'm looking at, obviously you could say, there's some nice ones in here. Do you got, Miles Sims would be really interesting. Mustafa Muhammad, the tight end, I think is a beast. He's just one of the he's going to be a great Michigan guy to get. I mean, you can tell he loves Michigan, devoted to Michigan, is excited to play here, and nobody plays tight end position better than Jim Harbaugh's offense. And for him to come in and play well, but I think the guy I'm really looking at is because I saw him in the Army. I think the Army game is the Hutchinson. So, and watching him as a defensive end, 2.5. I think he had 2.5 tackles, 2 sacks. I watched that whole game, and he stood out over anybody in that group. And I was so impressed by him that he would be one I think that Jim Harbaugh wants to get in right away because he pretty much knocked over anybody, and I thought he was one of the MVPs of that game. So,
yeah, that's the defensive side of the ball, and we're doing pretty well on that side as is right now. Yeah. But we'll see.
But yeah.
We'll see how it goes moving forward. So, RaSean, some of the players that you see coming in, anybody standing out to you for this 2018 class?
I mean, I really like this class top to bottom. I would say Cam McGrone. I think he can really step in and help. Even though we got Drew Singleton, Josh Ross, he's joining an outstanding group of young linebackers. But him earning that 5th star from 247 was very well deserved. I believe he's going to see the field often and early in his career. And I like Mustafa, like you said, Craig. Hey, Mustafa, he's the complete tight end that, we need in this offense, especially with a revamped offensive line, Shea Patterson and, because Shea make you defend everything, and I just think he's gonna have a breakout season as well. You know, MUSTAPHA should play often and early as well. And I like Hutchinson. I like Christian Turner. I mean, outstanding running back. I'm kind of glad. You know, was he a 3-star they gave him or whatever? Yep. But really, he's a 5-star. But if he had got that 5th star, then you would have had to fight Alabama and all those schools down to the wire. I love backs that we get that fly under the radar, you know, like Chris Evans and all of that good stuff. And then I always remind them, J.J. Watt was what, a 2-star? And look at Russell Wilson. You got different players. So the stars is overrated. It's really about, did you come to my event? Did you come to my camp and all that stuff? And it's just somebody's opinion, just like we giving our opinion right now. So, you know, we see the game. We see the huddle tape. We see, you know, the moves that they make. And it's all about coaching, too, at the end of the day. Because even though I don't like Sparty as much, but you got to give it to D'Antonio. He develops those 2 and 3 stars that he get. So it comes down to coaching at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And we've had this conversation a little bit before, Craig and I have, about where, I mean, because the star rating has come up quite often amongst the fan base over the years, but it is so tricky. And I think there was an article recently about how hard it is even just to get ranked as a player in the star system. But still, it's kind of that flawed thing, just like you were saying, RaSean, about what camps you go to, who specifically sees you, the networking that you might do, as long as the right person shares your video. And if one person is behind on that, then they could easily get overlooked and wind up being that J.J. Watt that gets picked up and just explodes from there. And also, you know, not all of these players are going to the IMG or the Paramus Catholic and places like that where the coaches are phenomenal. And some of these guys are just playing with coaches. Not saying that they're bad, but they don't have that experience either. So they're looking at them from the raw ability and what they could become under their coaching staff and with their strength and conditioning coaches. So there's a lot of potential here. And yeah, it's too bad to see people get so worked up with the stars, but we'll see how it pans out. Something that I've been kind of looking at, and I know this is almost something that we feel like we don't even have to really get that concerned about, concerning having Don Brown. But I have to admit, watching the tape and everything, really excited about some of these defensive players, because seeing what they're able to do in high school, seeing the speed of some of these players, the vision, their ability to open field tackle, just makes you excited about the longevity of this defensive success that we've had. I mean, it just seems like almost every other day you see stats coming out about the defensive players that we currently have and how well they've done. And so Don Brown is we always talk about the great players and the great running backs maybe coming out of the South and getting out of college into the pros, and you're just seeing that Don Brown is almost building a machine in Ann Arbor for these defensive players. So just adding more fuel to that fire, and I'm excited about seeing some of those players. I mean, there are so many to mention. I mean, we've got Miles Sims, who's already an early enrollee, Taylor Upshaw. You guys have touched on a couple of the defensive ends. Hutchinson, you were talking about in the Army game, his performance and everything. The Green brothers. It's a bright future for sure, and so this is just kind of like an icing on cake to see these guys come in on this 2018 class.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm excited, man. I ain't getting caught all up in them talking about where they're ranking us and all that. You know, you want those players that's willing to run through a wall to be great. That's how every coach would say. So, you know, I'm really excited, man. And this 2019 class, man, I know this is for another show, but Goon Squad 19, that's what we named them, man. Yeah. These guys are hungry, and they want to be great, and they want to play with other great players. They want to bring them in. So, you know, we working hard, man. I got a new segment that I'm introducing on Blueprint, and I can't wait to you know, break it out. But I could say it here for people that's watching or listening or whatever. I'm going to do a 30 for 30 style segment on the top recruits. You know, we have less than a year, so I have to target, you know, the big fish. that we're going after. And I believe this year going to be a year loaded with 5 stars for Michigan, even though we're not stargazing. But, that's just what it is. The no-brainer recruits. That's what we're going to get this year.
Yeah, sneak peek right here with the Blue Network. New things coming to the Blueprint with RaSean Reeves. So be looking for that in the future. That's awesome to hear. Always great stuff coming from you, RaSean. So, we talked a little bit about a few of the players that aren't committed yet that you guys were talking about targeting.
Michael Barrett's one. Sorry, Caleb. Michael Barrett's another one we're looking at that probably will commit to Michigan. He's a good one. Athlete. He's a great player. I think he'll probably more likely sign with Michigan. And Vincent Gray's another one, and Julius Welschoff is another one from. Those 3 guys from Germany. I think he's coming over from Germany. He's another one, defensive end. But there's a couple out there that we're hoping that they will. OTIS, REESE, and then they got that quarterback Kevin Doyle, quarterback. But that's iffy because we do have a lot of quarterbacks in our corral already. So, but that's what we got.
It's a great list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else kind of on your radar, RaSean? I've not noticed if any of these players have selected a commitment date between now and National Signing Day, or if they're all waiting for actual National Signing Day to announce.
I thought we got the Barnett kid. Didn't we get him? He committed, didn't
Eric, I think.
Yeah.
Did we already?
We've got commitments from Reese, Doyle, Gray, Barrett, Bell, but they're not signed yet. And we do have the German player Welschoff, who did in fact sign. So he is on.
Sign. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So this is pretty good, man. I'm really excited because it's not how you start; it's how you finish.
Right.
We're gonna get the last laugh. A lot of people was trolling and taking shots. With the finish that we had, but it's all good because I dish it out a lot, so I could take it. That's just great, man. It's just great, man. I'm just excited about being a Michigan man, and as well as you guys, man. It's just great times.
Well, it's interesting. I Caleb talking about the stargazing, and I've never been that kind of guy anyway. So I've always been that person that's just been, what I think this year, and RaSean, you can chime in on this too. To me, it seems like, in a way, if anybody's noticed in the coming months, that Harbaugh's actually been really, really quiet. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of news on that guy, and usually every week you and I have something to talk about with him, Caleb, about something that he's just been Harbaugh, being Jim Harbaugh, and then the media picks up on it, and Feinbaum always jumps on it or something, and he's always in the media for us to talk about. But now he's kind of laid low and been very quiet. And to me, I think that's great. I think this is a really, really cool thing to do because I think he's laying low. I think he knows, hey, I've got these guys coming in. They're not 4 or 5 stars, not all of them. But guess what? I think he's getting the guys that want to win. I think he wants to get the guys that come to Michigan that grind and want to be winners. And that's what you want to get at Michigan. You don't want to get these prima donna players that just think they deserve everything. And Jim Harbaugh's probably saying, no, I don't want you. I want a guy who's going to lay 110% on the field and win it for us. And this is where coaching comes into fruition, is getting, hey, I don't mind a 3-star guy. If you can, it's like 3-star guys who have 5-star talent. And that's what we want at Michigan. I don't want a 5-star guy with 2-star talent who just can't, who doesn't have the mindset of winning and want to play all out like hard work is undefeated. That's kind of like the mantra we want at Michigan. We want hard work. And I think the guys that he's getting here is really, really, I really like them. I've seen them on tape, and I think they just are a great guy. I think they're great guys of character, and they're great guys on the field, and I think they're grinders.
No one wants to win better than Jim Harbaugh.
That's right.
He was ready with last season. I love the fact that he went quiet because if you notice, I've been quiet on Blueprint as well.
Yeah.
I haven't blueprint maybe in almost 2 months, because I've been working behind the scenes, just like Coach been doing. And number one, silence cannot be misquoted, so they ain't got nothing to quote him on. He's building inward. He's, you know what I mean? Look, he got a new strength coach, outstanding guy. You know, being reputation precedes himself. Outstanding coaches. Not only did he get outstanding coaches, these guys are go-getters on the recruiting trail, and it's already showing and paying dividends already. So he's building his infrastructure, reestablishing some things, getting better. Like you said, we wasn't good enough last year. So Harbaugh is putting in work, and I'm telling you, man, we about to get busy. Just think about it. We added Shea Patterson. Just think about every move that was made this offseason. So I'm really excited. You know, I don't pay attention to the haters. And that was another reason I took a break from social media and everything, man. The fans, man, some of them can be draining. You know, you only can block so much at the end of the day. So sometimes you just need to just don't even feed into it and just do what you do behind the scenes, you know. And I'm really excited about the moves that he's made. Let Feinbaum and all them hate. Those would be the same ones begging for an interview when we hosted that national championship trophy, because we have an outstanding defense coming back, man. I'm really, really, really excited about this team, man. I can't wait. Let's fire it up.
With things moving forward, actually, I'm putting the question forward to you guys because I haven't seen anything with this. No announcement with a National Signing Day event. I would take it then because, if I'm not mistaken, it's been announced well ahead of time in previous years, and we're rolling up here close to a week just before the National Signing Day. Any news that either of you have heard of any event going on for Michigan for the National Signing Day?
I haven't heard anything. I don't know if RaSean have. Obviously, he would know more than I would on that, but I haven't heard anything. I think, in a way, Jim Harbaugh's keeping this low key, you know, and I think that's the way you want it. I mean, if you look at it, it might be a thing that he's saying, you know what, I'm watching all these other teams do it, and I'm going to go underground. And in a way, he's going way underground, which is really, really interesting. And it might be one of the things that might help out Michigan and the Michigan fan base, because if you look at it, I mean, you got everything that's happening in East Lansing over here where I'm at. It's just a mess. And Jim Harbaugh is going, you know what, I'm just going to grind, coach, get the guys that get our staff going to coach up these players, and just, you know, do what I need to do and not be in the headlines. And do I think it's a good idea? I think it's interesting. I think it might be something that he thought about. Maybe he's doing that, and I don't mind it. So.
One thing about Harbaugh, he's consistent.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think he needs to say that he's doing signing of the stars. I think at this point, anybody that follow him and know, it's just the automatic, you know. I believe he's going to do something, you know, to welcome the new Wolverines that's coming on. So I haven't heard anything, but I think he will still have the event, you know. That's just who he is, you know what I mean? But he's just been, like I said, building, putting this thing together. And I love the moves that he's making, you know. I'm telling you, fellas, it's a great day to be a Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'd be a little surprised if he didn't do it. I mean, I know things change and all that, but I was always a supporter of the event. I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was a cool thing just to give the recruits something extra to look forward to, and also that, you know, there are going to be some of them that don't make it to the NFL, and so it's just that kind of extra special event for them. So if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's definitely not the end of the world, but it will be interesting to see. Quite possibly by the time this is released, there may be an announcement or something out there, some information about what is happening with National Signing Day. So we'll just go ahead and have to wait and see on that. So, anything else recruiting standpoint that you guys want to touch on here before we kind of maybe close this out?
No, I think we're just going to keep pushing forward. I think, you know, I get why, you know, some fans want to see that star rating, like all the other teams seem to be, moving up and getting all these teams. You got OSU that's hammering away. They'll probably come away with the #1 class, along with Georgia and Alabama and all those other ones. And, I get it. I'm not going to say I'm not a stargazer too. I mean, there's times where I would like to see that. But, I look at it as it's really going to be – it's tough to be consistent with stars, and to have a class that's going to have, 5 stars after 4 stars all the time. I look at the two, like RaSean was talking about, the 2019 class. I mean, I'm looking at that, and we're doing really, really well with them. And, this might just be the class where, if you want to look at stars, great. But I think Jim Harbaugh got who he wanted to get, and he got the best guys that are going to do really, really well in this class. And the next class, he's, I think, going to kill it and do really, really well. So I think, this is where you do the exercising of patience with Michigan fans and us too. But I really like where things are going, and I like this new approach.
I'm going to say, if we recruited like other schools recruited, we'll have all the 5 stars in the top players year in and year out.
It's true.
But there is something called integrity, and we got it. So
yeah, that's
right. We're doing a great job, outstanding job with what we're up against. And because we're up against that is the reason I even started Blueprint. I consider myself the equalizer, you know what I mean? Because let's face it, it's a lot of shady stuff that go on with recruiting.
Right.
It ain't no secret. I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. And, hey, I'm just glad to be a Michigan man and help the school in any way I can.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your part, RaSean, and appreciate your role and participation with the Blue Network. For those of you who don't know, we're kind of like a tight-knit group, a small collective, because right now it's Craig and myself with the Blue Brothers Sportscast, Michigan man Ray and his Blueprint show, as well as we throw the Blueprint blog in there as well that you can check out content about Michigan football, Michigan basketball as well. So great things happening. It's exciting to do something like this. It takes a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, but we probably will be doing more special events like this. Works a little bit better during the off season. Yeah, RaSean's making his way back. He gave you a little secret preview there. So if you took the time to watch this, you're getting a little inside information there about things to come. But yeah, you'll see more things coming from myself, Craig, and RaSean. And a lot of interesting things will happen. I'm sure that there'll still be excitement and unknown factors moving forward here until National Signing Day. It'll be a good one. It'll be exciting, and gosh, before you know it, it's going to be August, and college football is going to be knocking on the door again. So,
yeah,
yes, sir.
Go check out RaSean's YouTube, man. Go look at it. Go watch it. Go see, what he's doing. He's doing great things over there. I at work, I like to check it out and listen to it, and he kills it. And RaSean, you do such a good job, man. We're so happy for you to be on here, man.
And thanks for having me. You guys do an outstanding job, too. Thanks for all the love, man. And I'm just glad to be back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm talking to you guys before I even dropped a new blueprint. So that's special to me because y'all family to me. So just got great things to do, man. Batteries recharge. We revamped some things. Needed a break. And just glad to be back, man. We love Wolverine Nation. Go Blue for the next time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good to have you back. Always got to take that time for your safe self. So take care, RaSean. Take care, Craig. We always appreciate it, guys, and more to come. We hope you guys enjoyed this. And until next time, go Blue.
Go Blue.